The 49ers went out, committed not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8, not 9, not 10. How about 11 penalties in a sloppy 29-17 loss to the Miami football team? And so that's the focus. The better story isn't losing locker room. The Dolphins are mathematically alive, but they still need like a tie somewhere to get in, so they're really not. For our purposes, we don't consider them a legitimate contender. But the focus is on the 49ers as they have now been exterminated from playoff contention. So what happens next? That's the question. So let us discuss. The focus here is going to be on the coaching staff. The Niners eliminated from the playoffs before their loss to the Dolphins. So what does the future hold for Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco? So I've got Tootsie's Barbershop and Scouting Report. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make some delicious brisket with potatoes on the side, a well-made brisket cooked properly for 8 to 10 hours. That's the way you cook the brisket. So number one. Yeah. Based on whispers around the NFL, we are heading towards a flashpoint by the Bay. I don't want to have the full drama alert, but this is much like a Greek tragedy, what has happened to the 49ers. As we're heading towards a slippery slope by the Bay. And here's the deal. You pay attention to the Niners, you look at that roster, and every man, woman, and child understands. The Niners roster is getting older, a lot older at certain positions. Now, not everywhere, not across the board, but at certain spots, they've become old. And you've got that. You've also got players that are paying a lot of money to that are injury-prone. Mainly, that's our running back, Christian McCaffrey, who is being paid a lot, and he's back to being the Christian McCaffrey that was in Carolina. Just a completely wasted season for McCaffrey this year. So you got him and several others that have been camping out in the injury tent by the Bay. You've got a bunch of guys that say, hey, we're winning. I need to be paid. So they're being paid premium money. Good for them. It's nice to see a business that actually rewards their employees. But the problem with that is that you end up getting guys that are fat and happy and have been paid a lot of money, and they're either middle-aged, they're old, or whatever. And then knocking at the door, you've got Brock Purdy, who has quietly turned into just an average Joe, or in this case, an average Brock. And he's looking at a massive payday at the end of the season. Now, I used to say don't pay him, but everyone gets paid. Every time I've done a monologue saying don't pay that guy, they pay that guy. Everyone gets paid. Everyone. I did not one. I did an entire offseason monologue. Don't pay the guy. I wouldn't pay the guy. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the guy. No, I paid him. Paid him. Everyone got paid. So I'm convinced Brock Purdy's going to get paid. I wouldn't pay him, but the Niners are going to pay him. There's no reason to think they're not going to pay him. He's just not. He's not bad, Brock Purdy. He's just there. You know, it's like a side table next to your sofa. It's nice. You like having it, but it doesn't really make the room. That's Brock Purdy, okay? And he doesn't move the needle. He has morphed into an average NFL quarterback. The first 20 games, he was Tom Brady. The last 20 games, he's been Kirk Cousins. So are you going to pay Kirk Cousins that money? The Niners likely will. But the main point here is not about Brock Purdy. It's not about the roster. It's about the coach. That's the story that's going to pop up here. And Kyle Shanahan, while he is under contract, and you would assume that means he's going to be with the Niners, and there's no question he'll be with the Niners, not that simple, my friend. Not that simple. Because there's a lot of moving parts to this, right? A lot of moving parts here. And it's all about the Tootsies. It's all about the Tootsies. Meaning, if you are the Jets suck, or the Chicago Bears, who had been rumored to be interested in Kyle Shanahan, tossed out in the echo chamber, or any other team that needs a head coach, why would you not at least contact the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan's agent and say, well, if we did this and we did this, would we get you to be interested in us? And so you fire off a message or two, you dip your toe in the water, And what would it take? I'm just asking for a friend. What would it take for Kyle Shanahan to say, I agree to a trade? They need a new coach here. The team's not listening to me. I remember Phil Jackson when I was around him a lot with the Lakers when I was forced to cover the so painful to be around those Laker teams. But I was around Phil Jackson quite a bit years ago, and Phil used to talk about how in basketball, I'm sure it's the same in football, that the coach's message wears thin, right? You lose the players. Things go stale if you keep the same core players around. And the Niners, even though they've changed some of the players, this Brock Purdy group with Deebo Samuel, who's likely gone also, been here for a few years. The coaching staff's been there for a while. And Kyle Shanahan, you look around, just by the way, for comparison's sake, 2017, terrible year. The A-holes cheated in baseball. The Astros. But in 2017, Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan began their head coaching careers. Both have been to 2 Super Bowls, and they've been there with 2 different quarterbacks. The Rams won one Super Bowl championship. Sean McVay, though, has now been there 8 years. He's got 7 winning seasons with the Rams. He's already got more winning seasons than Jeff Fisher did in like 30 years coaching in the NFL. Kyle Shanahan with the Niners has clinched his 4th losing season, and he did not end up winning a championship in the 49ers appearances in the Super Bowl. So keep an eye on that story. File that one away. Leave it on a little Post-it note, and we'll check it later on when we get to the month of January and February and the coaching hiring season. Now, page 2. Chuba Hubbard, should be Chuba, but Chuba Hubbard ended up going into a touchdown land, redeeming himself after doing the thing you can't do at the time you can't do it. Overtime walk-off touchdown for the Carolina Panthers to eliminate Arizona. They're gone. So the Cardinals eliminated. Same day the 49ers eliminated. Who's to blame? Who's to blame for the Cardinals missing the playoffs? So I spent several minutes on my long drive in from the North Woods here to contemplate this, and it all falls on the fun-sized shoulders of the munchkin, Kyler Murray. He was that number 1 overall pick a number of years ago. Kyler Murray, or we like to call him affectionately Alligator Arms Murray. And I tried to tell my friends that live in the Valley of the Sun, you would not listen to me. You got very upset. Oh, you're such a jerk. You're a shock jock. You wouldn't listen. Well, here we are. Barbershop style. You know what, Kyler Murray, it's barbershop style. It's like old school 90s Will Smith, Brad Pitt. It's the fade haircut. Kyler Murray has mastered the fade. He suckers you in. Ooh, he's got big stats the first half of the season, and as the season goes on, he falls apart. It's almost like either there's really good video game tournaments or he just can't physically handle the rigors of the NFL season. He's not big enough to handle it. I'm just saying. Something's going on. It's every single year. Last 7 games with 2 to go. Last 7 games for Kyler Murray. Passer rating below 90. More interceptions than touchdowns. The last 7 games for the Arizona Cardinals. Their quarterback has more touchdowns, or more interceptions than touchdowns, and a passer rating below 90, which is not good. Is not good. Good passer ratings, 100 plus. That's good. That's really good. Right? Below 90, not good. That's mediocre. And that's Kyler Murray. So they used to blame Cliff Kingsbury. They said, well, it's Cliff Kingsbury. That's why the Cardinals fall apart in the second half. Well, he's gone. He's in Washington, and Jaden Daniels and the Commanders just beat Philadelphia there, and they're doing okay. Not as good as they were, but they're doing all right in Washington. And you look around, the common denominator is Kyler Murray. This guy was the number 1 overall pick. With the number 1 overall pick comes immense responsibility. You're supposed to be a difference maker. You're not supposed to fade down the stretch on every season. What a ridiculously bad number 1 overall pick Kyler Murray is. This guy just is not it. He can't do it. He cannot handle a full season. It's embarrassing. The Cardinals are locked in for now. No playoffs for the 3rd straight year for Alligator Arms Murray. Jonathan Gannon, you might not know who that is. He's the coach, likely fired. Are they going to keep him around in Arizona? You can't Can't keep everyone around. You got tickets to sell, right? You got to sell excitement, so you got to get rid of either the quarterback or the coach or both. Now, it's very unlikely that Murray's gone. Arizona does not have an escape hatch until 2028. Now, we're almost into 2025, which is kind of cool, but not till 2028. So what does all this mean? So it means that Gannon's got a very toasty tookus, that he's on the hot seat, and Kyler Murray will be tossed out, just saying, hey, you don't have a quarterback. New Orleans, you want Alligator Arms Murray? You serve alligator in the South. Why not? Put Alligator Arms Murray in there. Or you go around. The Jets are going to need a quarterback. Aaron Rodgers will likely not be back. The Tennessee Titans. And the Cardinals will call those teams up and say, listen, what's it going to take? You want a guy? We got a guy. And he's locked up for 3 years. You want him? Well, you can be yours. And just see. We'll just see what's out there. So that name will be out there. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. All right, final stop to the Pacific Northwest. I was trying to see what Nostradamus had to say about the latest performance by Geno Smith. I must have missed it. Maybe he is off from work or his social media is down. I don't know. Sam Darnold had not one, not two, but 3 touchdown passes. The Vikings taking advantage of the Christmas season from the Seattle football team, the generosity of the Seahawks, and on the road on a Chamber of Commerce kind of day in Seattle with a little rain and cool weather. A dome team goes into Seattle and walks out with a 27-24 victory. Where have you gone, Pete Carroll? Minnesota keeping the pressure on their divisional opponents there, the Lions and the Packers. Down the stretch we go in the NFL. Now, the better story is in the losing locker room. The better story is in the losing locker room. So how do you explain the Seattle Seahawks losing at home in a playoff dogfight, or in this case, a seabird fight for the playoffs? So Geno Smith, yet again, living up to the scouting report. I've tried to tell you, you don't want to listen. You're trying to sell me on Geno, all you idiots. I get it. You like your team, fine. But even if you like your team, you got to admit the foibles of certain people on your team. Like I like I don't really like them that much this year anymore, the Clippers, but kind of down on the NBA. But Kawhi Leonard, right? The guy'd rather live by the pool in San Diego than play in the NBA, and the Clippers do whatever he wants. It's embarrassing. And I like the Clippers, but I say it's embarrassing. As a Seattle fan, you should be able to admit that he ain't it, that he's not it. But if you look at the scouting report of Geno Smith, it's been very consistent. Stumble bum. Right there, page 1, above the fold, stumble bum. He was outplayed by Sam Darnold. Geno Smith, outplayed by Sam Darnold, outdoors, cold weather. Kid from San Clemente High School in Orange County. Went to cold weather and rain and outplayed Geno Smith. Embarrassing.
Say what?
Yeah, it just happened, yeah. Now, in tennis lingo, you would also sum up Geno, unforced errors, you would say, right? A pair of interceptions. How did those affect the game? Well, Minnesota scored a field goal off the first interception. They also won by a field goal, and they sealed the game on the second interception with 49 seconds left. Yeah. So Seattle's still alive. It likely will come down to the Week 18 matchup with the Rams unless somehow, some way, the Seattle Seahawks lose to the Chicago Bears on Thursday.